Hey, good morning, Charlie. She said I'm early. So, hey, happy Saturday. Hope everybody is having a good start to their weekend, or depending on the time zone you're at, you are maybe perhaps having a good afternoon, early evening. So, hey, um, so, and Andrea Caldwell is here. Hello, hello. Charlie said it's 7 p.m. Okay, so it's somewhat early. New Age Lunatic, yo, 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 what's up? And Green Owl, how are you? Miss Rain, hi, hi. Oh my gosh, lots of peeps in the house. So, Andrea said it's 2 p.m. here. Marie, good timing. Yes, yes. I think Loki is in the other room right now. He's using the restroom. So yeah, I thought I would just, pop in, show off a few decks, and maybe do a spread with you all. And I want to take you guys out front later to see the car that I'm practicing on right now, because I'm a little rusty when it came to stick shift, because I haven't driven a manual in a while. It's been a while. um, Charlie thanking me for last night, by the way. You're absolutely welcome. Hopefully there was some good stuff in there for you. But yeah, I am a little rusty. So we have rented a Mustang, and we were like practicing for a few hours yesterday. We're going to practice today. We'll practice tomorrow, and then we have to return the Mustang. Just so that if I'm going to maybe destroy somebody's clutch, it's going to be somebody else's car, because clutches are quite expensive. And then I can, drive my Viper, so without hurting its clutch. Let's see. Miss Rain said I bought the 365 tarot spread books because of you. Well, looky what I have here today. We're gonna be doing a spread from here today. Yay! Charlie said I was very confused about the little girl though. Yeah, I don't know, a girl that came across, and she was like, I don't know, she wasn't too little anymore. All of a sudden she was kind of like a teenager, like she had grown into a teenager. So I don't know, the girl that was with you, it was like she was going back and forth between little and like a teenager, like back and forth, back and forth. So I don't know, I found that very interesting. Miss Rain said, yay! Marie, the only way I can do manual shift is a burnout for first gear. Nice, nice, nice. New Age Lunatic is talking about the new altar cloth. Yes, it's very trippy, psychedelic. That was a Goodwill find, by the way. It was just a really big piece of fabric. Came with some other fabric for like $3, like just big bolts of fabric. So yeah, so it became the new altar cloth. Alrighty, well, it's gonna be another warm day here in sunny San Diego, so I have my water with me, my Italian sparkling mineral water. Or when I was in Italy, they asked me if I want the water with gas or without gas. Green Owl said, way back when I had a Fiero, I was able to start from second. Now I hardly drive. If you are trying to get out of our drive, we have a very steep driveway. And if we have the other car here, the Hellcat here, we do have to start it in second, because first gear is the wheels will just spin in our driveway and it'll just like never get up the driveway. So sometimes I guess, yes, you have to start in second gear. Charlie said the only thing I can drive is my fiance insane. Nice. Nice. So yeah, I got the Yaves, and I will take you guys out to see it. We're obviously not going to, I'm not going to be like driving the Mustang like while I'm filming, because I kind of need both my hands. But you know, just to kind of like show you guys like, hey, this is what I'm like practicing on. Marie said, yay, I could do the Hellcat. Yes, yes. The Hellcat isn't here right now though. It isn't my boyfriend's turn. So I talked about the Hellcat before. It's, I think it's the same year as my Viper, or maybe it's a, no, I think it's a little newer. So I think it's maybe Challenger Hellcat. And my boyfriend, his best friend, his other good friend, and one of their good friends, so 4 dudes, all went in on this Hellcat. And so it's like in rotation. Astra Rain, hello, hello. Charlie said, girl, he's practically your husband now. 12 years is a long time to remain a boyfriend. I know. He's just gonna be my boyfriend till like 100. Maria said, I love the Chargers. I've had 2, but the older one, ooh, I like the older ones. American muscle. So yeah, so him and his buddies, it's like, you know, one guy will get it for, oh, a Challenger, okay. One guy will have it for a couple of weeks, the other guy will have it for a couple of weeks, and then the other 2, okay, so one of them lives in Hawaii, so when he's in town, which I think he's coming to town next week, like that's the car that he drives when he's here, and he's usually only here for a week. So, so it's like, cool, I get to have a car like when I'm here. So, that's his buddy out in, Hawaii. And actually, you know, I mean, he does really good business out in Hawaii. You know, he does, like affordable, housing, out there on, was it Oahu? Yeah. And he has a hard time being here for too long, because he used to be like a lifeguard with my boyfriend. He used to be a swimmer for a really long time, and from like looking out into like the horizon on the water, he actually burned his eyeballs. So they get really dry in our climate here, but since Hawaii has a very like humid, very wet climate, it's much easier on his eyes. So actually that's why he's living in Hawaii, and he doesn't want to move back here where his parents are. So plus, I mean, I'm like, what a gorgeous place to be because of like a medical condition. So yeah, so his buddy's out there in Hawaii. The other guy, I believe, lives in Arizona, or no, not Arizona. No, he is, yeah, no, he's really far up north. So North County, San Diego. I think he does something in Arizona, but he's in North County, San Diego, and he's rarely down here. So if he is down here, which is every few months, like, then he gets to drive the Hellcat. So basically, it's only like 2 dudes that are really driving the Hellcat on a somewhat regular weekend basis, and that's my dude and his best friend. But his best friend, like, gets bored easily with cars, so he hasn't been driving it much. So it's basically just our car. And then, Tarot by Pixie said, that's true, remain a boyfriend, don't fix what don't need to be fixed, it don't need to be fixed. Christina, hey! Yeah, my boyfriend, like, because, you know, of course, we talk about getting married and stuff like that, and he's all, what am I supposed to say? Like, girl, what we got going is so good, we got to get the government in on this. And I'm like, well, someday would be nice. And he's like, well, yeah, someday. He's like, but I mean, he's all, things are cool now, which is true. But, you know, I guess if he ever needed to jump on my health insurance, then he probably would, like, I guess that would be why. I don't know. I mean, I guess when we get older, like in case something happens to one of us, you know, the other one could be insurance, or I'm not really sure, like what. I mean, I guess, well, yeah, I guess we would get married someday, but I'm like thinking about it. I'm like, but there's like no rush, you know. I've known the guy for 18 years now, and we've been dating for like 12, like. But anywho, okay, so we will take a look-ski at the car that I'm trading on a little bit later, and I think I did good as I was learning again yesterday, trying to like bring back the memories, because okay, so everybody in my family had a stick shift because, well, that's really all there was back in the day. I mean, there was some automatics here and there. Like I think my grandfather had a Studebaker that was an automatic. No, I thought it was an automatic, but it wasn't. It's back when the stick was on the steering wheel, so you had to be like, or no, that was an automatic. Okay, so some of their cars were automatics, but it was like the automatic stick was like on the steering wheel instead of like down here. Christina said marriage isn't all it's cracked up to be. um, so, um, so I remember like my uncle had a truck that we called the Silver Bullet because it was like rattle can spray painted silver. It was a lifted F-250. It had the KC headlights. It had the big wheels, and I used to remember, I was so small, I used to use the seat belts because it had the lap seat belts because it was the bench seats, and it had like the poncho, you know, like the Mexican poncho, like the poncho like seat covers, and I used to like pull myself up and try to pull myself by the poncho to like get in the truck. If I wanted to get into the bed of the truck, I used to climb the tire and then jump from the tire into the back of the truck, and had the whole roll bar with like the rope wrapped around it. And they lived out in the desert, so you know. And so my grandmother loved driving that truck. Like my grandmother was, she was not a dainty lady. Speaking of my grandmother, this is her shirt. You know, she had this shirt like in the 80s. So this shirt has survived. Oh, let me show you guys, like a long time. It's just a little tank top, but yeah, it's survived probably since like, I don't know, 1982, since when she got it. So this shirt's like almost as old as I am. Hey. But yeah, it had like a really long stick, plus there was the smaller stick to put it in 4-wheel drive. And my grandmother just loved taking that truck everywhere. She'd be like, "Krr, krr, krr," and she was just like, yeah. And she'd be like, we would like be flying through like, you know, over the dunes, and like, oh man, my grandma was so cool. Unfortunately, she died pretty young. She was 58 when she passed away, but yeah, I mean, we used to have like good old time, and she used to have a Datsun. It was like all like sportied up and everything, and so I was like all excited. I was like, they would have me drive stick when I was like a kid. I mean, like a kid, like I was like 6 years old and I'm like driving stick. They taught me again when, you know, so I'd been doing it until I was like 12. I'd go see my grandparents, and since they had a big property, you know, I'm not really gonna hit anything, so they would have me like drive around and stuff like that. And then my grandmother passed away when I was 15, so we didn't really go to my grandparents' house anymore after that because my grandfather sold the property, and then later on he got remarried. The lighter body cars fly higher. Yes. Oh my gosh, yes. You make me laugh. So so yeah, and then my parents had an 86 Chevy Cavalier. They had bought new back in 86 for the arrival of my little brother. And so like he was arriving in 87, so they decided to like get a car that was more reliable than the one we had, which I'm like, okay, so we're gonna have the unreliable car for your daughter, but the little boy comes along, we must have a nice reliable vehicle. So anyway, so you know, I would kind of get that car started, and sometimes I'd roll it down the driveway for my mom, you know, in the morning. And but yeah, I don't think and then in college I tried to drive stick again, but it was a very traumatic experience. And the person I was learning with, number one, she said, okay, so this is like, it was like an 80s something, and she's like, the clutch is basically dead, the transmission's going, let's learn on it. This is the best car to learn on. I had a traumatic experience, so then I didn't do stick after that. So I was having flashbacks yesterday when we were learning stick and well, relearning, and we were on a slight incline, and I forgot how to not make the car roll back without using the e-brake, because you know, I know you don't have to use the e-brake, and it really wasn't a hill. It was like a little incline. Bunny hopping. Yeah. So I'm like, and I freaked out because there was a car behind me. I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna hit the car. So I stopped the car and I had to get out, and my boyfriend had to get in, and he was like, why'd you freak out? And I'm like, I was having flashbacks of back in college with the car that was broken. He was like, okay, this is like a 2013 Mustang. Like you're okay. And I'm like, okay, whew, whew. So then we practiced, we were out in like the industrial district where there's no cars, and that's where we were practicing, like practicing hill, going downhill, just practicing like making turns and going around and going through all the gears and all that stuff, and like getting used to the gearbox and everything. And then at one point, because it was getting late, we were practicing on the hill again, just like one last time. Christina said, I've been driving stick for 47 years and I still don't like stopping on a hill. I'm like, oh my God, I can't do hill. And he's like, you can do hill, like just chill out. He's like, you're kind of a spaz. You need to not spaz out. When you spaz out, things happen. He's like, but you can do it. And I'm like, woosah, I'm like woosah, woosah. So we're on a hill. And I mean, it's empty. All of a sudden, there's like a car behind me, and I realize it's a cop. Yes, spaz. My boyfriend calls me a spaz. Um, and I'm like, oh my God, there's a cop behind me. But we're like on an empty cul-de-sac. So I like stalled the car like twice. I think the cop figured out I was learning how to drive and just kind of like, whatever, like left us alone and continued on. But I was like, there's a cop. I was like, what if he pulls us over? He's like, what? Because we're telling him we're being responsible, driving where there aren't any cars so you can learn how to drive stick. The cops aren't going to arrest you. And I was like, so then I was like, okay. And then I just did it. I like went up the hill, and I did it a few times. I think I stalled a total of 6 times of like the 20 times that we were practicing on the hill. Let's see, Tarot by Pixie, hearing you say spaz was funny because you're American and I'm English, so it sounds funny. I'm a spaz case. Marie said, to get your hill problem learning, put an egg behind a tire. When you don't break the egg, you know you've got it right. There you go. And I don't want to break my eggs because they're delicious. So that's probably a good thing. Marie, wouldn't the egg roll down the hill? Then it would be an egg roll. Then we put the egg roll behind the tire. Well, so I figured out how not to roll back, so that's not the problem. It's the stalling now that's the problem. So I'm not really rolling back anymore. I think I got that. Put it on a golf ball holder thingy. There we go. No, you put it point up against the tire. Ah. Interesting. So what I learned without using the e-brake, because my boyfriend's like, pros do not use the e-brake. I'm going to teach you good habits. And I was like, well, what if it's a really steep hill and you have to use the e-brake? He's like, fine, if you need to use the e-brake, I'll do it. He's all, I'm just teaching you the way I do it. And he considers himself quite the professional. So I was like, okay. I mean, to be honest, my boyfriend is like a really good driver, and he's like, his mother said he practically came like driving out of her when he was being born with car magazines in hand. She's like, he's just always been like a car dude. So he's Mr. I can fishtail it, like he can drift, he can like, has pretty good control of a vehicle. Scrambled eggs, yes. And she says OMFG. And his mother like loved cars too. Like his mother loved fast cars. So like him and his mom are like car people, or she was. Marie Cormendi, hello. We're just talking about my adventures in stick shift. So yeah, so it's okay. So when my foot has the whole clutch depressed and my foot is also, my right foot is on the brake, let up the clutch like part way, take your foot off the brake, that way the car doesn't roll backwards. And then it was slowly give it some gas and then slowly let off the clutch, where I was giving it too much gas and I was dumping the clutch. And I was like, goo! And then the car would be, and it either would stall, or because then I didn't give it enough gas because then I took my foot off the gas like a moron, or I just like gave it too much gas and we like went, and we like skidded our tires up the hill. So, but hey, I'm not rolling back anymore. Marie said, okay, I'm coming to stay with you. I love doing all that stuff. He can drive though. I'll be along for the ride. Christina said, you need 3 feet. Yes. Like, why wasn't I born with a 3rd foot? I mean, really. But yeah, actually, when my boyfriend and I were going to college together, like we weren't dating at the time, like we were just friends. Like he had his long-term girlfriend, I had my dude I was dating, but I was constantly having boyfriend troubles. And so when I would have my dude troubles, I would march past his suite, because his suite was next to mine in the dorms. And the suites, like how it was considered co-ed was there would be a boys suite and a girls suite, a boys suite and a girls suite, and that's like our co-ed dorms. And so I would march past his dorm at like 11 o'clock at night. And I remember because they always had their suite door open and he always had his dorm room door open, and he would be listening to, I swear to God, he would be listening to car sounds on his computer, and he would tell me he was memorizing at what RPM certain cars would have to hit before you had to switch gears. So he'd be listening to Ferraris and Lamborghinis and you know, Mustangs and different years, and he'd be telling me that's a 1985 Ferrari Spider, you got to hit it at whatever RPM, and he says it is now shifting into 3rd gear. And I was like, okay, so in my free time, I'm not sitting up here in a hot ass dorm listening to car noises. But yeah, that's what he did for fun. I mean, that's what he still does for fun. And so anyway, I'd be like huffing and puffing, marching past his room. He's like, where are you going? I'm like, running. He's like, it's like 11 o'clock at night. You're going for a run? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, are you having boy troubles again? I'm like, maybe. And he's like, does somebody need a ride in the Stang? And I'm like, maybe. So then he was like, okay, come on, we'll take the Stang out for a ride. And he used to have, oh, what year was it? It was a 90, yeah, it was a 1990 Ford Mustang. And he had put a bigger engine in it, and he had it all souped up, and he had the, whatever his, he had put in whatever, an H-pipe, like, exhaust, and it was a Flowmaster, I think, yeah, Flowmaster exhaust. I remember he had said he'd done a bunch of stuff on it, but I remember when he was talking about cats, I didn't know he was talking about catalytic converters, and I was so confused when he was having conversations. I literally thought he was talking about his cat, and I'm like, what's his cat got to do with the car? It was really bad. I'm since better with cars. Marie said, yes, that's how I had to learn the sound of engine shifting. That's how I still know. Like I still, that's something I do now. I know when a car has to shift because that's how I hear. Or, you know, and I hear it even when I'm driving my automatic truck. Like I know when it's going to shift because I can hear it's getting to a certain RPM. So I'm really good at that. That's just kind of like always stayed with me from being with like my crazy grandma and everybody. But yeah, so he would take me out for a ride in the Stang, and his favorite thing to do to get me to laugh was we'd get in, and he had this like little like Beanie Baby lobster on his dashboard, and he loves lobsters, by the way. Oh, no problem, Charlie, no problem. And he'd back up, and then we'd go take off, and he would fishtail it so that we could watch the lobster sliding back and forth on the dashboard. And I would just like, it would crack me up. And so he'd be like, and then, you know, and then he'd go straight out into the parking lot, and then we'd go like race up Atherton. I mean, we weren't racing, in case anybody is with law enforcement. I mean, we were driving the speed limit up Atherton Street past the college. And we certainly never did donuts, and we certainly never drifted past Bellflower. That certainly never happened, but I was in a much better mood afterwards, and then we just, just take it for a casual drive after that, let, the engine cool off and everything, and then we'd come back to school, and I'd be in a much better mood, and then he'd be like, all right. He's like, well, you need to go to bed now because you have class in the morning. I'm like, okay, So yeah, so it's, and he was just known as the car dude. He was the car guy. So yeah, so he's, if I'm going to learn from anybody and how to do things right, like, he is the person to learn from. And so I do feel like really safe, like, learning from him. It's just like me. Again, I'm a spaz. I spaz out. I freak out. I have this like fear that, oh my God, I'm gonna stall in an intersection and everybody's gonna be honking at me, and oh my God, I'm gonna be holding up traffic and everybody's gonna be angry with me. And he's like, why would you stall in an intersection? If the car's already going, I don't understand how you would stall. Because if the car's in gear and you've got it in first and you've already started moving, he's all, you can't stall because you're already in first. And I was like, yeah, well, this is just how it's playing out in my mind. Too bad you live where there is no ice or snow to do spins on. You both would love it. Actually, we live in a very, all right, Tara by Pixie is back. We live in a very unique part of San Diego. Okay, so if you drive 15-20 minutes to the west, you're at the beach from our house. If you drive 25 to 30 minutes east, it snows in the winter. Like out to Julian is just covered in snow. Like, people go out there for the snow, and they get all the seasons, kind of like you would back east. You get fall, you get a blazing ass summer, you get winter, you get all of that. And then if you go a little bit east, where you don't have to go as far as Julian, but you go out towards where the Indian reservations are, which aren't too far from me actually, you'll start to get a little bit of snowfall, and then more snowfall. So yeah, so we literally in one day, and this was like maybe 4 years ago, we went to the beach. I mean, it was cold, but we went to the beach, and then we drove to the snow. We played in the snow for a little bit, and then we came back to San Diego, where it was like, like 60 degrees. Which I know for some people, they're like, really? Christian said, Marie, that freaks me out. My husband just laughs when we spin out. I live in Minnesota. Oh my gosh. Do you still get good results from the Zircus Magi deck? I do. Charlie, I haven't worked with it in probably a couple of weeks, but that's just because I got a few new decks that I'm trying to connect with. But yeah, the Zircus Magi, like, it's still like a really good deck for me. Like, it's scarily accurate, and it's like I feel like my spirit guides are talking through that deck, because it really feels like there's somebody talking to me, and I'm like, whoa. So yeah, I still feel that it's a really good deck. New Age Lunatic, that's like my friend in Arizona. She looks one way to the mountains and it's monsoon, and the other way and she's cooking. Seriously, yeah, when we went to Arizona to pick up the Viper, okay, it was monsoon season and they had a dust storm. I don't know how you have dust storms and monsoons, but they did, and we were in both. Not with the Viper though, because it was, thankfully, I was like praying to the gods and goddesses. I'm like, please, no monsoons, no dust storms on the Viper. And so it was clear skies when we came back. But on our way up to like look at it and everything, we actually were in a monsoon and a dust storm. Interesting. Christina, I don't like resolution on the duck soup decks. They seem blurry. I think, like the images, and I'm just guessing because I don't know, I don't make the duck soup decks, but I'm guessing on the images, that it's meant to be kind of like that, like dot matrix kind of look, almost like old school newspaper. I don't know. I'm thinking that's how it is. I'm not too bothered by it on the Zircus Magi. I did have one of their other decks. Gosh, what was it? Well, I forgot the name of it now. I gave it to Steph, like, and she really liked it. But yeah, I on the Zircus Magi, I'm not really affected by I think it's that print quality is on purpose, and I think that's how it was meant to look. I don't know. I think that's like a look. Um, let's see. Marie said, Christina, as long as you know do it safely, it's not dangerous. You have more nerves of steel. Oh my gosh, you guys are out like spinning on the ice. There was one time, the only time my boyfriend said he was actually really nervous driving, and this is the guy that like came driving out of his mother. He was up at the Ford show. Like every year we go to the Ford show, and he has a '89 Celine SSC, which is a Mustang that was souped up by Steve Celine, and now Celine has like his. I think he sold the Celine company, but he has his own other company that's it's also like the Celine company basically. And so what he does is he takes cars, he soups them up and he sells them under like his name. So you would have like a Celine truck, you would have like a Celine car. And so he has the '89 Celine SSC, which was meant to be the anniversary edition for Ford Mustang, because Ford didn't put out their whatever 35th anniversary Mustang in '89. So yeah, 35th year. So the Celine was like the unofficial anniversary Mustang, and I believe there were 140 that were made, and my dude has car number 42. Steve Celine has signed it twice because they have the phone numbers of all the owners somehow. I don't know how, but they have the phone numbers of all the owners of all his cars. Like everybody who's bought his car, they have the numbers, and then if you sell the car, they somehow get the new owner's number. Like, I don't know, like in those car groups, like it's kind of like that. And so we were at the Ford show, and my boyfriend got a call on the phone. It was like, hey, is this so-and-so? And he's like, yes, who's this? Steve Celine is making his rounds to sign the fan covers of the of his vehicles. Would you like him to sign your fan cover? And he's like, sure. So he came by, we took some pictures with Steve Celine, like he signed it. It faded, so we had him sign it again like a few years ago. So yeah, so that for its day, I mean, it still has like it's still a fast car and it can keep up, but if you put it with a car like equivalent to today, like a fast car, like it couldn't keep up with that. But it's still a really quick car. You know, everything's like meant for speed and racing, but you know, it's an '89. It was fast for 1989. So, but it's still a lot of fun. You can still do fun stuff in it, but it has Yokohama tires that don't have much tread. It has like the two squiggly marks of tread. So basically they're called summer tires, which means you can't wear them you can't wear them. You can't use them in inclement weather. You can't use them in the winter, obviously if it's snowing, because they're like ice skates. Let's see. Christina said Mustangs are cool. I do dig the Mustangs. Oh yes, after your message last night, I decided to go on the M2 app and I got a word lay, so I'm curious if that was that girl. Like Leia or lay down? Oh, you know, it's interesting. When I had like the visual of like you and what I perceived to be like a daughter, but she was a teenager, and you being older, you were laying down at the time. So that's interesting. Lay down. That, maybe we could pull some cards later on and look into that. That is interesting. Ooh. 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 Yes, we need to dig into that later. Oh, so yeah, anyway, my boyfriend said that, so the only time he was scared, he was coming back from the Ford show and a freak storm happened. You know, it was sunny, burning hot, like all that day. And so he was trying to make it back from the Ford Berry Farm, which is like in, I guess Orange County-ish. making it back to San Diego, which it's like an hour and a half, 2 hour drive. But he's on tires that really have no tread because they're not meant to, because they're like racing tires. And so he's just like, he felt his car just like hydroplaning the whole time. Like it was just kind of slipping around in the lanes. And he says he was like white knuckling like the steering wheel so hard, and like granny shifting, just like, oh my god, I need to make it home. And he was like, and the like dinky little windshield wipers that don't really do anything because it's not supposed to be out in the rain. And he's just like, oh my god, I just need to make it home. He says, and he just feels the car like doing this the whole time because it's just like sliding on the water. It's like me. But he finally did make it home. In one piece, no accidents or anything. And he was driving like really, really slow. He said he was doing maybe about 40 or 50 on the freeway, which still felt really fast to him because he was hydroplaning it was one whole hydroplane drive. He has since switched out those tires just in case. But he said his hands hurt for like 2 days after that because he had gripped the steering wheel like so tight that he had like hurt his hands. So yeah, that's the only time he's really been like super scared in a car. Let me see, been there, done that, and yes, it was ugly when you're on a busy road. Ooh, no. Oh, okay. Since we're on the topic of cars, and Charlie gets me thinking about like, you know, some supernatural stuff. So let's mix cars with a little bit of supernatural. I got some stories for you guys. Let me get some water. I will hydrate and then get my try to remember like all the details of that story because it's a good story. We'll throw a little bit of woo-woo into this story because there is woo-woo in the story. Okay. I had the car on Supernatural, only mine was blue. Oh, isn't that a God, what am I thinking? Chevelle? Isn't it a Chevelle? The car that's on Supernatural? Chevelles are so sexy. I love Chevelles. My ex-boyfriend, like a few ex-boyfriends ago, had a Chevelle. Woo! Woo! Oh, it was a Chevy, just a Chevy. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. But yeah, the car on Supernatural, that's a hot car. And I haven't watched that show in a long time. Why did I stop watching that show? Oh yeah, I don't get cable anymore. But I should try watching it on Hulu because I have Hulu now, so I'll see if I can get it on Hulu. OMG, the cars. Oh, Mio's here. Hey. Well, before we get started on our supernatural with car story, not the TV show, although the TV show was bomb, I was looking at my little stone that I brought today, and I actually slept with it underneath my pillow last night. So this is, I don't know if you pronounce it cerussite or carusite. It starts with a C, but it's carusite or cerussite on galena and barite. And I had some wacky dreams that I can't remember. They were spastic. I had some spastic dreams. I just can't remember them, but I know they were spazzy and I know they were crazy. And I was actually got a lot of extra sleep, which is why, excuse me, I didn't start the live chat till 11 o'clock because I was just so tired and I just felt like this just let me sleep a little bit longer. Just because we've been doing like back to school teacher stuff for the past couple of days, and then we'll do some more on Monday, and then we're back to school on Tuesday, which we'll get into that because I have a feeling, I don't know, there's some changes happening, and I can't quite explain them, but I feel like I'm not going to be teaching much longer because my path is changing to the path I've been doing like on here with you guys. So it's I don't know, we'll talk about that later. Cause yeah, that's been interesting. So I'm thinking this is the last year of teaching. But anywho, yeah, So this let me sleep a little while longer. I just had it under my pillow. Wally he likes to sleep on my head, so he is my Wally hat. Um, Tarot by Pixie said, OMFG, yay! Runway for, thanks for adding the Impala. I had to run away for a bit. Cat complaints. Full-time YouTubies. Well, it'll probably be like YouTube plus like all my readings and stuff that I do, like all my other stuff. I'm not quite sure like what the universe has in store, but I know it's on that path. So I don't know if I'm gonna like pair up with somebody and I'm like gonna go work for somebody, like where I do my readings and my healings and my mediumship stuff. Like I have no idea. I just know it's in that realm. I don't know. We'll get into that, but let's do our supernatural car store. I think 67. Ooh. I have a Kia. I am so cool. Hey, you know, there are some bomb diggity Kias out there. Don't don't scratch the Kia. Would you mind teaching me mediumship? I could kind of talk about my journey on here. You know, I could do that. Just kind of like how that all happened. Okay, so story time, kiddos. I don't care how old you are. I will call you all kiddos. I'd love a YouTube series on it. Oh, I could probably do that for like next week's video, like how I came to do my mediumship stuff. That would be an interesting video. I don't think I've done one on that. I like old Corollas, which look like bees. No shame on Kias then. You know, I like old Corollas. Like, actually, I like old Datsuns, kind of like my grandmother's Datsun, like the old like Datsun car. She had like it was a hatchback, green with like racing stripes Datsun with like the fake leather like tan interior with like the perforated like sporty steering wheel that was also in tan. Okay, so gather around then for story time. Okay, let me see. Let me fix my camera, make sure you guys can. There we go. Okay, story time. When I was in college, I had a 96 Chevy Cavalier convertible, and I named it Scooby. Scooby was the name of my car. The truck I have now, since it's my second vehicle, is number 2, affectionately called. It is also the color of poo. And let's see, and then we have the Viper, which is Bumblebee. Okay, so I had Scooby, so my 96 Chevy Cavalier, and I would stay at, there was a guy I was dating while I was in college, and he lived in Vista, which is in like far part of like San Diego, sort of. So no, not San Diego. It's maybe outside of San Diego, but it's, yeah, Vista is really far. No, that's in San Diego. Yeah, it's just really far north. And I would, you know, stay at his house until late, and then I would drive back like Friday night. So I'd drive there like on a Friday. We'd stay for like, I'd stay like hang out with him for a little while, and then I'd drive back because I was on the track team at my college, and we had track practice on the weekends, and then we had track practice like we had track practice 6 days a week. We just didn't have practice on Sundays. And I wanted to make sure that I would be back in my dorm, get a little bit of rest, and then I'd get up in the morning for Saturday morning track practice, which those were all day practices because it was a Saturday. And so I stayed at his house, but it was like a big storm. Like, I think people remember this storm. So what year would this have been? This would have been like 2001. I think 2001 or 2002, probably 2001. And we had this huge storm in San Diego, like all over the news. We were watching at my ex-boyfriend's house, like the freeways were flooding, and they were actually like shutting down like big freeways, like the 5 freeways, like the major freeway over here. I heard that the 805 freeway, which is like San Diego freeway, had shut down because it was like a river. Like we were literally flooding here in San Diego. And it was going between rain and hail, and then it was like blizzards and snowstorms like out in the east, and so it was a crazy time in San Diego. But I was more worried about getting in trouble by my coach if I didn't make it back because I'm like a stupid 19-year-old. You know, I was like, oh my God, my coach is gonna kick my ass. Like, I need to get back to school. And my ex-boyfriend's like, he says, I have a bad feeling. I don't think you should be driving in this weather. Like, they've got parts of the freeway shut down. Like, do you really think you're gonna make it to the 405? And I was like, no, like, I can do it. Like I just really need to get back. And I was more worried about not making it back in time for track practice the next day and getting in trouble by my coach than I was for like my safety. So, I was telling him I gotta go, and I left probably like around 11 p.m. because I thought the longer I stayed that maybe the storm would let up and then I could drive home, but the storm was just getting worse. So at some point we're like, I'm like, I gotta go, you know. So it was like 11 o'clock at night. It was raining so hard that we could, like, standing in the middle of the street, you couldn't see the end of the street. It was raining that hard. Plus we're in a puddle, like a little river in the street. So not my smartest move, I will say. I didn't do a lot of things that were smart when I was 19, but anywho, skipping over that. So I get in the car and I start driving and I'm like, oh, it's gonna be fine. And I'm going along the 5, and I would say, you know, and I slowed down. I mean, I was going like 55, so I was going 10 under the speed limit, and I'd say halfway into my trip, you know, before I get home to the dorms, there was like one other car on the road that was with me, and I could see it in my rearview mirror, and it was a black, like, 1970s Cadillac, you know, and we're like the only 2 cars on the road because everybody else was smart and they're not out at the road at that time during a massive storm. And all of a sudden, I get the cold chills really bad. Like, I'm halfway into my trip, by the way. And I don't, like, I had shut off, like, feeling and seeing spirits, like, when I was like, into my teens, because that kind of stuff scared me. But all of a sudden, it was just, like, overcome with, like, goosebumps and something's wrong. And I was like, and I felt like there was a spirit in the car, and I just blurted out loud, "Grandma?" Like I didn't even have time to think like what I was saying. I was just like, "Grandma," and I just felt like I literally felt like my grandmother was sitting in the passenger seat of my car, and I heard loudly in my head, "Slow down. There's danger." And I was like, holy shit. Holy shiza. So I slowed down. I'm taking my grandmother's advice, and I remember I'm getting goosebumps as I'm telling this story because it was really, it didn't scare me. You know, normally ghosty stuff used to scare me, but because it was maybe my grandma, it didn't scare me. So I'm like driving and I'm starting to get kind of nervous because I'd been singing the music and I was like, you know, I'm just, you know, I'm gonna make it safe, you know, but all of a sudden I'm like, maybe this wasn't such a good idea. And I start thinking like, maybe I really could get into an accident. I'm like, oh, so I slow way down. Now I'm going like 45 on the freeway. And the Cadillac that's behind me, why he decided, well, I understand why he decided to be behind me, because my wheels would have been making somewhat of a track in the freeway so that his wheels, maybe his or her wheels, could also track it. You know, so that they wouldn't slide around as much and have to basically pave the way. So I was paving the way for the other car. And so I feel like my grandmother, like, I don't know. It's like I looked over into the passenger seat, and not with my eyes, but with my mind, I thought I could see her outline, like the outline of a person, but in my heart, I knew to be my grandmother sitting there. And that was something very new for me. I'd never like been able to do anything like that before. I mean, I knew when spirits are around, I could feel them and I could sense them when I was a kid. And sometimes I'd see them with my eyes, but I had shut it all down because it had freaked me out. So this had been like some time since I'd been able to do anything remotely like that. And so I was like, okay, so this is like a sign that I should slow down. So I slow down and I start talking to my grandma because I feel like she's there. And this is something that also I never would have done because I was quite scared of spirit, but I was also very intrigued by spirits. So I loved like ghosty shows. I loved the Ghostbusters. Like I loved like, you know, all ghosty stuff, but I was also very scared of, I don't know. It was weird. Like I was scared, but I was also like intrigued. And so, so like, it's like I opened up a little bit and I was like, Grandma, how are you? I was like, and I'm not really receiving any answer after the slow down, there's danger. And I'm like, so are you just gonna hang out with me while we're driving? I was like, okay, well, I miss you. I love you. Like, okay. Well, I guess you can hang out with me. That's cool. You know, so then I'm just like, and so I turned my music down and I just like really focused on the road and driving. And probably about 10 minutes later, 10, 15 minutes later, yeah, 10 minutes later, I get to what's called the 4 and 405, sorry, the 5 and the 405 split. The 405 will lead me back into Long Beach where my school is, and you know, all of that. So it's another big freeway, and that leads you also into LA and everything. So so the 5 is splitting off, and then there's the 405, and I have to get onto the 405 ramps, which there's multiple lanes to do that. But remember, it's like raining so hard I can barely see in front of my vehicle, but I have since slowed way down and I felt like I had more control over my car by doing this. And so as I get closer to the 405, I'm noticing there's something white in the road. And as I get closer, I realize it's a car. And as I get closer, I realize it's a Honda, like it's a white Honda. It could have been like an Accord or something. I just knew it was a Honda. And the car is sideways across the lanes. Like it's not facing, like it's sideways. And I'm like, oh, you know, but I'm like coming up on it now. And so this car is sideways. And I remember turning my steering wheel so that I don't hit the car. And I don't even know what I did or like what happened. It felt like it was in slow motion. But okay, so here's the car. I'm trying to like get onto the freeway. I somehow like, I hit the brakes. I skidded around like this, and then I went back up. Like I literally like drifted. So the nose of my car was like going around their car. And when I was looking out my windshield, I could see that the car's passengers had gotten out and they were all, yes, I drifted. The car's passengers were all standing along the center divide. And I was like, and it was like in slow-mo. I was like, ah, you know, and then I like corrected, and I looked, like I automatically looked in my rearview mirror because I wanted to see like what just happened. Like I'm not that good of a driver. So I was like, what? And then in my rearview mirror, that Cadillac that was behind me the whole time, pow, hits the car. The white car went spinning towards the people on the center divide. And the black 70s Cadillac flips on its side and it goes sliding across the 5 freeway in one direction, and the white car goes spinning towards the people towards the center divide in the other direction. I'm watching this in my rearview mirror. And cell phones had kind of just come out. Like I mean they kind of came out before, but this is like when people were starting to get cell phones. So I had a little like Nokia cell phone. I don't even remember who my carrier was. And so I'm calling 911. And this is before like GPS. So 911 doesn't know where you're at. So so I'm calling 911. I'm on the phone driving, and I was like, there's an accident that just happened at the 405 split in Irvine, California. And they're like, ma'am, can you please say city and state? And I'm like, I'm in California. I'm in Irvine. There is literally an accident, and I'm trying to describe like what just happened. In my rearview mirror, I saw a 70s Cadillac hit a white Honda something, and I was like, and there were people out there, and I don't know if the people are hurt or what happened. The car spun out towards them, and I was like, and the people in the Cadillac or person, I said, the Cadillac was sliding on its side, and they said, how many people were involved in the accident? I don't know, I'm driving. What's your location again? I'm in Irvine. What state is that? This is California. I'm in Irvine, California. And I was like, well, now I'm not in Irvine. Now I said, bye, because I've been talking to you on the phone. I was like, I'm not in Irvine anymore. I am the city next to Irvine. I'm like going into Culver. I was like, and they said, how many people were in the Honda? I don't know. Do you know how many people are hurt? I don't know. I was like, could you just please send a police officer or an ambulance like out there? And they're like, do you know the license plate of the Cadillac or the Honda? I don't know. Do you know the make and model of both of them? Do you know the year? I don't know. Like, they're asking me all these questions, and thank God we have like GPS now, and I'm just like, listen, I have to get off the phone because the freeway's flooded and my car is floating. So I need to have both my hands on my steering wheel. So I need to get off the phone, and they're like, did you get out and help? Oh my gosh. I was like, I can't, because I'm on the freeway. And I can't go walking on the freeway to go help those people because I'm already on a new freeway. And I was like, I'm so sorry, but I'm just trying to report an accident. And it was like, you know, and I just felt like that presence that was with me in the car was gone. Like after that, like the presence of what I felt was my grandmother was gone. So I feel like if my grandmother, like seriously, whoever that was, which I feel it was my grandma, scream inside my head of slow down, there's danger. If I would have continued going 55 like I was, I wouldn't have been able to slow down in time, and I would have hit that car. I would have been the person hitting the car, and I would have been the person whose car was flipped on its side. Like, that would have been me. And so, woohoo! So that, and I didn't hear about it on the news. Like the next morning, I was like watching all the news outlets. I was listening to the radio. There was no report of an accident. And I was like, and I know like all accidents aren't reported, and probably not everything's covered by the news, but I don't know. I was just like, I hope that those people were okay. I hope that everybody made it out okay. I was like so thankful that I could make it back to my dorm safely. My car was safe, and I was just like, how stupid was I to try and like drive in a storm like that? Like that was a really dumb thing to do. So since then, I have learned my lesson. I don't drive in storms. Homie don't drive in storms anymore, because I don't know if grandma's got any more Lucky Charms in her bag to get me out of those situations. Tara by Pixie said, I think I would have been creeped out. Oh, for sure. But you know, that's not my only life or death, like like missing accidents. Like I have made it out of so many accidents, like, and so like I think that I'm pretty lucky as a person. Okay, so here's a good one for supernatural in cars. My first 74 Challenger, and this is by Marie, by the way, wouldn't start if it was going to rain no matter what I did. Like it didn't like driving in the rain. That. The second one would shut off if you said anything bad about it, and it wouldn't start until you sucked up to it. Holy crap. That's awesome. That's like Christine. You know the Stephen King novel? Oh my God. That's freaking awesome. Ooh. Ooh, please post, you guys, if you have any like car supernatural stuff. This is awesome. Tarot by Pixie said, I remember watching The Grudge with my friends when I was 15. I went home, and that night every other DVD wouldn't work. The Grudge was the only film that would work. Oh my God. I watched The Grudge. This is back when I used to watch scary movies. I don't watch scary movies anymore. Like I can't take it. I know so many people were freaked out by them. Well, by those cars, like for sure. But yeah, no, was it The Grudge that I watched? No, I watched The Grudge. I also watched was it The Ring? I think it was. No, The Ring. Or was that The Grudge? The thing with the ring. The chick that comes out of the well that's like really creepy and all, you know, with the hair in front of her face. Was that The Grudge? Yeah, well, anyway, I remember I was so scared I slid under the seat in front of me in the theater. Like I couldn't even watch it anymore. I don't do scary films anymore. Like I'll do like like comedic scary. That's it, I think. Yeah. The ring was the long hair. Okay, so it was the ring. The ring scared me, the grudge scared me, but the ring totally freaked me out. Like I was like, no more, no more scary movies. I'm scared of ghosts as it is. Like back when I was scared of ghosts. I'm not scared of ghosts anymore. I'm like, ghosts can't hurt me, homies. Okay. So yes, Tara almost got herself killed in that accident, or severely injured. Let me see. I don't know. Do you guys want to hear like other weird instances of me surviving unscathed, or would you like to move on to something else? Feelings would not be hurt, by the way. I mean, I'm just hanging out with you guys. Mio said both of them have similarly looking girls. That's why it's easy to confuse them. Yeah, I'm like, The Grudge, The Ring, got girls with creepy long hair like in front of their face. Like I creep myself out when I put my hair in front of my face and I like try to look in the mirror and I'm like, oh, okay, that's too creepy. No. Put the hair back. I need to know your life. It's so cool. I don't know. My life's kind of weird. It's not the dead you have to fear. It's the living. For real. And the gold challenger would have been good for you. I think so. Okay, Mio said story time's always great. Okay, as long as I'm not boring you guys, because you know I don't know, I have fun hanging out with you guys during my live chats. Okay, so little Tara was almost, when she was 19, almost got into that horrific car accident. Oh, okay. This one, I think I've told you guys before, but people seem to like it when I tell it. This one was me almost dying at 18. So let's get into this. New Age of the Tick, I was pushed through a solid glass door head first, and the door completely smashed, and I had one tiny cut on my leg, no stitches. Who pushed you through a glass door? Like, holy crap. Oh my gosh. You guys need to post your stories too. Like, oh, we'll do like all story time. You guys are posting your stories. I'll be telling my stories, okay? Because I think people can see your comments like on the playback or the replay. So, oh wait, okay. This story starts when I'm 17. Yeah, because I turned 18 right after graduation. Like my birthday is always right after graduation, like right after school gets out. Ooh, that reminds me of a time a chandelier in my room fell from the ceiling right at my feet. Holy crap. And the bed was super ruined, but nothing happened to my legs. Woo! I remember when my dad died, he walked through me. Oh my gosh. My aunt, she died a couple years ago, and both my uncle, who was standing next to me, and myself felt my aunt like move through both of us and swirl around us. Like, and then he and I were holding hands because like I was devastated my aunt was gone, and we could feel like another hand on top of both of our hands. Like, oh my gosh, like I got some ghost stories. But it wasn't creepy because it was my aunt and I knew it was her. And this is like at the point in my life, you know, a couple years out, I'm like, it doesn't freak me out. It's just like, it felt really warm and comforting and it was like really nice. But I mean, to other people, it probably would sound freaky. Okay, so 17 years old, we're blasting to 1999, just before I turned 18 in 1999, my graduating year. And people are picking colleges. Some people started like writing into colleges at the end of their junior year, which I did too. And I was also doing it beginning of my senior year. I wanted to be a fashion designer. So I wanted to go to FIDM, the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising, which is like, it's just a college specifically for fashion. And so I wanted to go there. Both my mother and father thought it wasn't a good idea because my dad says, I want you to, like, what if you decide that that's not for you? I want you to go to a college where you have more options. Like, what if fashion design doesn't work out? Which, hello, do I look like a fashion designer now? Maybe they were right. So, like, what if it doesn't work out for you? There are so many other majors that you could find in college that hopefully you'll find your calling, like what you want to do. And I'm like, okay, so I decide then I'll go to a university. So I'm looking at like San Diego State, and I'm looking at all these different state colleges in the area. And my mother, who really like had gone on the like Catholic super train, and wanted my brother and I to be like super Catholics, was like, I think it best that you go to a Catholic school. And I was like, but I'm like not really into that. And my mom's like, I don't care, like you need to go to a Catholic school so that you could be raised right, so that you can like get a better education, because private schools get better educations. And I'm like, no, private schools are just more expensive. And my mom didn't want to hear that, and she was like, so she decided I should be going to St. Mary's College. St. Mary's College is in Los Angeles. And so I'm like, whatever. So I applied to St. Mary's College. I applied to Long Beach State, which is where I eventually went. I applied to San Diego State. I applied to FIDM. I applied to a few other places. As soon as I applied to St. Mary's College, I started having nightmares. And I had the exact same nightmare every single night for my entire senior year. Do you know how long that is? That's a long time. That's an entire year. That's 10 months of every single day. Like, okay, so here's how the nightmare would go. I'm in a car with 4 other girls. There's a girl sitting next to me. I would change positions in this car, but it starts off, you hear the laughter. You hear the laughter of girls. We're all laughing. Somebody's driving. Somebody's in the passenger seat. I'm behind the driver. Somebody's sitting next to me in behind the passenger seat. I don't know what kind of car we're in. We're driving. It's dark. I could see the headlights on the road. We're going down a mountain. I'm wearing a jacket that has a school emblem on it, but I can't really tell what the emblem of the school is. Everybody's kind of dressed in a somewhat uniform-ish, kind of like for a school. And there was a girl with blonde hair. There was a girl with hair kind of like mine, which at the time was kind of short. I didn't have the long hair that I do now. And then there was a girl with curly red hair, which I think she dyed it red, but it was curly red hair. And we're driving, we're laughing. I don't even know what the joke is. And at a certain point, I yell, "Oh my God, look out." And I grab the steering wheel and I jump across and I try to grab the steering wheel, because as we're going around the road, the lights, and I see the side of the mountain, and it's just before the front end of the car smashes into the side of the mountain, because we're like the mountain's here, we go over the guardrail. It's just before I see like this. So it's like just before we hit, and all of a sudden, I'm like walking through a front yard with like a bunch of trees, and it makes me kind of emotional to tell it, because this dream for like a year, and it really bothered me. And so I'm like walking like on this like little pathway through somebody's front yard, and I come across this, like, you know, the old 60s homes, like the modern homes where it's like a 1-story and it's got like the huge front window that you can see into like somebody's living room. So I can see in, and it's like a scene, and I see my family, and I see my dad, like he's sitting down and he's sitting like this, and my dad's just like staring and not really saying anything, and but he looks like pissed off. And my mother is crying, and my brother is he's asking my mother like, what's wrong, and my mom's like, get away, get away. And I can hear them through this window. And my brother says, when's Tara coming home? And my mom said, she's not coming home. How many times do I have to tell you? You know, my mom's like upset and she's crying. And oh my God. And it was like, and then I'm shocked, because I'm standing like right there, and I was like no, like I'm coming home, like I'm home, you know. And so my mom gets up and she's circling a date that I can't really see on the calendar, and it's in December, and she's circling it over and over in red, and it's like a week before Christmas. And my brother's like, but I want Tara to come home. My mom's like, she's not coming home for Christmas. She's not coming home ever. Like, how many times? And my mom just like gets up, walks away. And I go over to the front door because I'm now crying because I'm like, Mom, Brian, which is my little brother's name. I'm like, I'm right here. And I'm trying to scream and there's no voice coming out of me. Like I'm screaming in my head, but I'm like, why can't I talk? And I'm, Mama, Papa, I'm here. I'm here. And I'm like, and I'm crying and I go to grab the door handle and my hand is going right through the door handle. And I'm like, and I'm freaking out in my dream. And I'm like, why? Like, why can't I come home? Like, why? And I'm like, and I'm screaming and I was like, Mama, Mama, and then I wake up. And so the dream was exactly the same every single night, except I would change positions. Sometimes I'm sitting behind the passenger seat. Sometimes I'm the girl in the passenger seat. Sometimes I'm the driver. But at a certain point, there's always a person that leans over and grabs the steering wheel and tries to pull away from going straight over the side of the mountain. Tries, because somebody straightens out the curve in the road. And so, although I switch positions in the car, the outcome is always the same. We always, all four of us die. And I know we're all dead. And so then I was really against going to St. Mary's College. So Tarot by Pixie says, so basically there was someone who was warning you that if you went to that college, you were going to die. Basically, yes. So I decided I absolutely did not want to go to St. Mary's College because although I couldn't see the emblem on the jacket I was wearing, I had a feeling that's where it was because St. Mary's is on a mountain. It is on a hill and you do have to drive down the hill. And so it could have been my grandma. Who knows? So, so I wrote this down several times in my diary. Like it's written down, like my diary's below the house, but and there's probably like more detail in it, but that's like the majority of like what I remember. And so I absolutely refused to go, and I decided I was going to go to Long Beach State instead, and so that's where I went. And my mom was like all bummed because she wanted me to go to Catholic school or whatever so she could say her daughter was going to Catholic school. So then my first year of college, first semester, I was sitting on my bed in my dorm and it was like the 6 o'clock news or something like that. No, this is the end of first semester. Yeah, but it's first semester, first year of college, end of first semester. And I'm watching the news and my dad calls and I'm on the phone with my dad and my dad's like, your mother's going to be coming to come pick you up. When is your last track practice so that we can come get you, so you can come home for Christmas. And I was like, oh, I think like you could pick me up like whenever, like whatever date it was. Like I had to be back by a certain date because we were going to start track practice again before school resumes. Like it was always track. And while I'm on the phone with my dad, I'm watching the news and they're talking about a tragedy that just happened, like that day or something like that. 4 girls involved in a fatal accident coming home from St. Mary's College, had overcorrected, went over the side of the mountain, and they perished. And they had the 4 pictures of the girls that perished in the accident, and I had seen those girls every day for a year in my dream. I knew those girls, like, in my dream. And so I start crying, but my dad's like, are you okay? And I'm like, did you hear about, like, the girls that from St. Mary's that died in the accident? My dad's like, oh yeah, that's been on the news. He goes, I think it was yesterday or something. Yeah, that's been on the news. And I was like, and my dad's like, that's so sad. Like, and he's like, yeah, he goes, I really feel for their families, because it's so close to Christmas. And my dad's like, yeah, that's, he's like, that's messed up. He goes, but hey, he says, your mother's coming to get you. So he says, just make sure you got all your stuff. And my dad got off the phone. And I was just like, and I cried so hard. And I was just like nothing like that has ever happened since, but it was just like, I don't know, like it was freaky to be on the phone with my dad and to see those girls' pictures, like, and and to know that you've basically been dreaming of those girls for like 10 months. But you know that the dream stopped when I accepted my my acceptance into Long Beach State. Like the dreams stopped after that. But whoo. Terabyte Pixis said, "Holy Mother of God." A New Age Lunatic said, "Dude, Marie's like, OMG, that would have scared the heck out of me, but I would have surely thanked whomever gave me this warning." Like, yeah, I was like, I had felt guilty probably for a while, because I was like, why, why, like, were those girls given warnings? Like, why me? Like, why was I given a warning? Why did, and then, and I was thinking, well, I could have very well ignored what I was feeling, and I could have gone to St. Mary's College. Like, I could have ignored all that, and, well, I wouldn't be here talking to you guys. I would be gone. But, I decided to follow my intuition and the scary ass dreams I was having, and I'm here. And, and so I still think of them, and I still think on all the times, where I've like basically escaped death, and then I'm thinking, like, was I really not supposed to die? Like, was I really, like, are we always given messages like that? Like, I don't know. That's stuff that I think about, like, once in a while. And it still kind of makes me emotional, because, yeah, I mean, I don't have an explanation for it, and I don't know, like, why I was given that message. Like, I mean, obviously I don't want to die, you guys, but I don't know. So that's just like something that I share sometimes, because I just think it's like the craziest thing, and like, and I have no answers for it. Maria said, because if it's not your time to go, so don't feel bad about it. They probably wouldn't have believed you anyway. True. I told my friends about my dream, though. I would tell them about my reoccurring dream, and they, one of my friends was like, maybe you should smoke some weed before you go to bed. I was like, I don't do drugs. Like, are you, besides, I was like, if my parents smelled weed on me, do you know, I'd be like grounded for all of eternity. Like, and one of my friends was like, maybe it's something you're eating before you go to sleep. Like, are you, like, do you have to go to the bathroom in the middle of like the night? They're trying to figure out like all reasons why I'd be having this nightmare. Like, are you watching like, Tales from the Crypt before you go to sleep? Like, what do you, like, is it Tales from the Dark Side? Like, what are you watching before you go to bed? I'm like, I'm not watching anything scary. Like, I swear I'm watching like The Highlander. Like, that's totally not scary. It's about a Scottish dude. Like, that my mom thinks is really hot, I'm like, this shouldn't be creating scary dreams for me. But yeah, that was a scary moment. I'm here. Didn't die in that car accident. New Age Lunatic said The Highlander. Oh yeah. Duncan MacLeod. He was pretty hot. So yeah, didn't die when I was 18, didn't die when I was 19. I have let's see, Marie said, I had a flash of one of my ex-friends and I didn't know where he lived, but saw a man with a knife under a bridge. He didn't believe me until he saw a man waiting under the bridge. Oh, woo! Marie, you just gave me all the goose pimples. Like, woo! That, oh my gosh. Your friend was fine though, right? Like, nothing happened. Terabyte Pixie said Scottish accents are the best. Oh, I can't like mimic a Scottish accent, but yes, Scottish accents are nice. I have a friend who, I mean, he's much older, but he's Scottish and he wears his kilt and it's awesome. But yes, Scottish accents are nice. Let's see. I almost perished when I was 6. I swear there are some big fat spirit guides that sit on my shoulders and and they're like probably like Like I'm like Mr. Magoo, yeah, Mr. Magoo, just like, and my guys are like, what the heck is this girl doing? Like saving me from like this cliff and this pothole and that pothole. Like, I swear, like my guides are on duty 24/7 trying to save my life. I maybe don't do the smartest of things. Marie said, yes, he saw him and got home and could hardly talk. He was so freaked out. Okay, so at least he was fine. Woo! That would have freaked me out too. Oh my gosh. Yes. This only happened to me though when it's not someone's time to go, I found. Um, okay, this is probably, I don't know if it's a gift or a talent. I don't think it's a nice talent, but I know when it's people's time to go. So when I know it's my last time meeting with somebody, like I just know in my heart that it is, that I give them like so many hugs and kisses. Because even though my logical brain's like, pff, pff, like, what are you thinking? Like, you're just thinking, like, you're just being, you know, a nihilist or something like that. And I'm like, you know, but in my heart, like, I'll know when it's somebody's time to go, and then they go. But, yeah, that's like a weird thing, I guess. I had told my boyfriend's mom that one time, and she was like, okay, if you ever get one of those feelings around me, you let me know, because she saw I die when I say I die. And basically his mom did, so she died when she said she was going to. I said, yes, I have that too, but I don't see it. I only feel it. Yeah, me too. I just know in my heart of hearts that this person that I'm with will be the last time I see them, or pretty close to the last time I see them. And it won't be that they're sick at all. Like, a person doesn't have to be like actually dying of something for me to be like, oops, that person's not going to be here that long. Like, it's not like that. It's like, person could be absolutely healthy, and I just know that it's going to be the last time I see that person. Unfortunately, I have lost a lot of people in my life, like over 30 some people. Like, and I don't know, like maybe that's just like something, like I have to have a lot of loss in my life. Like maybe like with all my loss and what I've learned from it, I can help other people that maybe grieve through loss, or like help with messages. And that's what I'm guessing. Like maybe that's why I've had to lose so many people in my life, like friends and family and all that. Tarot by Pixie said, can I ask, did you feel like that when your friend passed away back in June? You know, with him, it was weird. Okay, so this is weird with my friend. Hold on, New Age Lunatic said, I get that. I knew my cousin who was 5 was gonna die, and he did just before his 6th birthday. That's pretty sad. Yeah, so that's really sad. Especially when kids are like really young. Like that hurts. Marie said, it is a gift, because if you are where someone is going to pull the plug, you know to tell them when it's okay and when it's not. Yeah. Yeah, because I have been with people quite a few times when they've taken their last breath, and I've been the one to mentally tell them it's time to go. Like, I just know that I don't even know why I'm giving them that message, but it's just like, it's okay to go, and I'm here with you. And I just have this feeling of like, I can help you transition if you need it. And then a minute later, they'll take their last breath. And I mean, mentally, that's kind of scarring to have, you know, people that you love, and like see them like that. But I also feel like I have to be strong. And like in a weird way, like I feel like it's like my job. I don't know, like I don't know. I can't even explain like how I would feel like that's my job, but I just like feel like it's my job to help people who are in the middle of transitioning, or to help comfort the people around me when somebody does pass, because I kind of already knew ahead of time. With my friend, the coach that I coached with, when we had our banquet for track and field, which was in the end of May, and he passed away at the tail end of June, he and I had such a good conversation. I had this like, I don't know, I had a weird thought. It wasn't that he was gonna die, it was just a weird thought of something's off, but I ignored it. and I continued to have like this really awesome conversation with him that I hadn't had like ever. And so it was like really seeing him and like have him opening up, and I got to see a side of him I'd never seen before. And he was like such a cool person and really puts on like a tough exterior. But I like got down to where it was like him and he was really just a big kid inside, and I was like, oh my god, I'm a big kid inside. And we were like bonding over the Hellcat because he was like, you got a Hellcat, and we were talking about cars. And then the day that I got the phone call that he had passed, the morning prior, that was the day I saw a crow. And again, I had a flash of like somebody's passed away, and I was like, no, 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 like that's not. But then yeah, so yeah, I kind of was getting signs that, you know, he was going, but I think I was really ignoring it because I didn't want to hear it, because to me this guy had so much ahead of him. He was young, he was like 49, you know, and because he meant so much to his athletes, and those kids mean a lot to me, I think that my ego or whatever was trying to protect me and from thinking that, because it was obviously really devastating when he did pass. And I felt more for the kids as well, because I knew how much they were grieving and how much that hurt them. And to see kids being hurt like hurts me. So yeah, so I think that's why I pushed that out. Let me see. Let me go back here. New Intuitive said, I used to work as a death doula and have held the hand of many dying people past. It's an absolute honor, but it's hard. I've lost count how many dead bodies I've seen. Yeah, I mean, I would say it was weird because afterwards, after somebody would pass, I would just out of nowhere just start saying thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, like thank you for allowing me to be here at the time of your passing, like thank you. I don't even know where these words are coming from, but it's just like blah blah blah, like thank you. And you know, so I am very honored to have helped them, but yes, it also like hurts at the same time. Tarot by Pixie. If I had one tarot card to describe you, it would be the High Priestess, because you're such an intuitive and beautiful soul. Thank you so much. Marie, the nurse for my 12-year-old nephew, even showed me this to be the truth. She said, he's still here when I first got there. Then she called me in when he was gone. It was different. Wow. Wow. When someone passes, their final breath is very different to a regular breath. Something happens after, it's a different breath. It is. You sort of go into an auto mode, because shortly after I'd wash and dress the body. It's completely surreal. It's so interesting. I mean, not like I'm like looking at bodies like, oh wow, this is fascinating, because obviously I'm like hurt when somebody passes. But well, the most recent person that I've been actually in the room when they've passed was the day after Christmas, this past Christmas. And that was my boyfriend's cousin, who I was also close to, who was the singer, and she was like Miss Colorado, and you know, and everything. But she'd been battling cancer for like so many years, and finally it like took its toll on her. But that one was really weird, because we'd been there for, I don't know, at the hospital for like 7 hours. And everybody kept thinking like, oh, maybe she's going to die today. Maybe it's today, because her breathing was getting more labored. And that what they call the death rattle sound, that kind of rattly, raspy breath. Her validating this helped me when they had to pull the plug. Yeah, I like when there's people there to kind of like comfort you, you know, especially when, gosh, when there's somebody so young. That's terrible. But his cousin, I walked into the room and I heard that same death rattle, like that breath. I don't like that sound of that breathing. And it was the same sound I heard my aunt breathe a couple years ago before she passed. And so I was like, oh my God, like your aunt's gonna go today, or your cousin's gonna go today. And he's like, no, because it's been like she's been close, but then she's come back, and right now her signs are fine. She even opened her eyes this morning, like she's fine. We're just gonna stay with her for a while. And I was like, no. And so I went into the corner of the room and I started crying a little bit, and I could feel Brian's mother show up, you know, because she's passed. Tara by Pixie said, I'm curious if when we die, do we become reborn straight away to another body, or do we choose if we wish to incarnate? I don't know. I suppose we'll know that when we get there, but I don't know. I actually don't. I mean, I know when people have told me they're getting ready to reincarnate, so they weren't going to visit me anymore, but I don't know how that goes. Like, maybe for some people it's straight away. For some people, I don't know. Some people maybe don't want to incarnate anymore. That I don't have all the answers, because although we are all spirit, I've also got a body here, so that kind of blocks me from knowing some of that stuff. But I could feel Brian's mother there, and I could hear her talking to me, because she talks to me a lot. Kind of like when she was alive. And she's like, why are you crying? And his mother, by the way, is very matter of fact and very proper, and and she's like, like, why are you crying? I was like, because I'm really sad that, Brian's cousin's going. I was like, I really like her. And she was like, why would you cry when you know you can see us? And I was like, because it's different. Because when I said, I know, and she was like, you can see us, you can hear us talking. Like, she says, I don't understand why this makes you cry. And I said, because I was like, I can't hug people anymore. I can't physically talk to them anymore. I can't, I said, it's upsetting. I said, when somebody isn't physically here and I can't physically see them when I want to, I said, like, you guys just kind of like show up, And I was like, and it just hurts, because she's somebody who's so full of life, and, and she was like, you're gonna see her on the other side anyway. She goes like his mother couldn't understand why this would hurt me. And by the way, this is Ghost talking to me. No Genetics said, I don't think we're meant to know all the how and the why we're in this dimension. Yeah, I agree. Marie said, they're going to have to drag me kicking and screaming and stuff in with something like a toilet plunger to get me to come back in a body. Oh my God. My acupuncturist, who's like my mom, Dr. Wang, she said, she's like, I'm not coming back. She goes, I know that she goes, I already know deep in my soul I've had a lot of lives. She goes, I'm not coming back. And I don't feel like Brian's mom has gone anywhere either. Like, her energy isn't as strong. Yeah, I don't know. She still kind of comes in every now and then, but, so yeah, she's trying to comfort me. So I felt a little comforted. And then, his mother was like, why don't you go talk to her? So I was like, okay. And his cousin's name is Kathy. So I was like, how can you talk to people if they're not dead yet? And Brian's mother, who's in spirit, was like, just try. And I was like, okay. And so I'm looking at her body. She's got that rasp that makes me nauseous. Claire 51, hello tarot kids. Hello. We're just doing a little bit of some supernaturally stories right now. People wanted some story time, so that's what I'm doing. So I'm looking at his cousin's body, and she's got her death rattle, and so I'm like, Kathy, in my brain, and I'm like, are you going today? And I could see in my third eye, her spirit sit up from her body, but she couldn't get out of her body. And it was like she was trying. She was sitting up in bed, but she was like trying. And she was like, oh, she's like, why can't I get out? Claire, that was a comment of reincarnation because I do not want to come back in a body. I want to stay in spirit form. And she was like frustrated because she's trying to get out of this body, but she's having issues. but she's also laughing at the same time. Like she's not mad or anything. And it's like her same, like she was always full of laughter and jokes, and she's like telling jokes like it's her. And so that like kind of made me smile a little bit. And I was like, Kathy, like, what are you doing? She goes, well, don't you know, who knew that this body weighed so much, even though she was like so petite and she was so tiny. She was like probably like 5 foot, weighed nothing, you know. And I'm like, when are you going? And she was like, at showtime. She says, I plan on leaving at showtime. And she was like, and I was like, well, what show is it going to be? Is it going to be a 6 o'clock show? Is it going to be a 7 o'clock show? And she was like, I don't know what show it will be. And she was like, but I am going at showtime. It's almost showtime. She's like, are you ready for showtime? And I was like, I don't know. I was like, Kathy, I'm going to be kind of sad that you're gone. And she was like, why? She was like, it feels so good to be kind of out. She's like, I can't wait to be all out. She goes, this body has worn out. She was like, basically she was like, she says, I am too much for this body. She was like, woo. She's like, girl, I got some singing to do. She's like, I want to get out. She's all, this damn thing keeps keeping me in. And so I'm trying to tell this to my boyfriend. He's like, my cousin's talking to you? My cousin's not dead yet though. And I was like, your mother told me to talk to her. He's like, my mother's here? Your mother told me to talk to her, and I'm talking to her, and she's not dead yet, but apparently I could talk to people's spirits when they're not dead yet. So she wants a showtime. She says she's gonna die at showtime. And he's like, okay. She said it's almost showtime. He's like, because it was almost 6 o'clock. He's like, is it a 6 o'clock show? 6 o'clock came and went, nothing. But every now and then I would see Brian's mother like at the foot of her bed, like coaxing her and like talking to her. But it was in a language I couldn't understand, and it wasn't Portuguese, even though his mother was Portuguese. I don't know what cryptic the language they were speaking, but she was speaking in some weird language to her, like, but I could feel it was like helping her to prepare. And then Brian's mother would come over to me, and then she would tell me, she says, do you know, we've been trying to get Kathy for like 2 weeks, but this girl is stubborn. And I said, well, she's a fighter. She kind of was like that her whole life. Let me see. New Age Tech. I don't blame you, Marie. I want to go to spirit with my fam and visit when I want. When I'm done, I'm done like a boiled egg. Happy. I'm not the only one that feels this way. You guys are silly. I wouldn't mind coming back. I say that now. Dr. Wang's like, wait till you're older. So it was on and off like this for a couple of hours of her like, it's almost showtime, like her, like she was trying to get out, like she'd raise a leg like out of her body, but like she couldn't get her full spirit out. Tara by Pixie, I want to come back and meet my fiance again when we have good times. And so finally it's getting close to 8 o'clock, and Brian's father had showed up to kind of take over and watch her through the night, because everybody was kind of like on a shift. And I kept telling Brian, no, like, I don't think we should go. Like, I'm pretty sure it's almost showtime for her. Like, I have a feeling it's going to be showtime. And Brian's like, listen, we've been here for like 6 hours. Like, if it was showtime, it would have happened already. He says, maybe you're just not getting your information right. And I was like, but I feel like we shouldn't go. And he's like, no, he says, I have work tomorrow. Like, I have to be up for work like pretty early, and I have to go cut film. And I was like, okay. So we went down into the parking lot. We pulled the car out of the space. The phone rings, and we're sitting like out of the space. It's Brian's dad, and Brian's dad's like, where are you guys? We're like, we're in the parking lot. We just pulled out of the space. He's like, Kathy's going. We're like, oh. So we pulled the car back in. We ran back up the stairs of the hospital to where her room is. Marie said, if you could keep your memory from your past life, then maybe, but having to learn all the spiritual stuff again, to me, that's a nightmare. Yeah, there's that part. I mean, if I could remember some stuff, I think that would help me. But having to relearn, maybe not fun. We go back upstairs. She's got this whole like death rattly thing, and I could see all these people in the room for her. Like, there literally was a light at the end of her bed. It was like a big light that all these people had come out of, and these people were all like standing there at the foot of her bed. and I said there was a guy who looked like he was from the 70s, and he had like the big, like, you know, the big meat chops, or pork, or whatever those are, pork chops, meat chops. And I was like, oh, the big chops. And I was like, um, when did Kathy's father pass away? And like advanced calculus, oh my gosh. And Brian's dad said, he passed away when she was really young. Like, he was a young guy when he passed. I was like, because I'm seeing a guy that's like in his 30s or 40s. He's like, oh, it's about the time he passed. I'm like, oh my God, her dad's then, that's her father, as standing at the foot of her bed. There was like a little dog, which I always see dogs and cats with people, whether or not they actually had dogs or cats. Like, I always just think that they're with people regardless in spirit form. There was like this little white dog there. There was this guy that I believed to be her father. Brian's mother was standing there, and it was like, because I had seen spirits milling about in that hospital for a little while, like while we were there, because they were like waiting, like, come on now, woman, like, we got a time schedule to keep. You were supposed to pass away a couple weeks ago. But she kept telling everybody she wanted to see the sun rise on Christmas morning, and then she'd be ready to go. And so, well, she ended up passing away the day after Christmas. So she said when she was going to go, she was like, I say when I go. She was kind of like Brian's mom in that respect. Which I think is pretty badass if you get to call the shots and say when you die. Like, I was like, man, Kathy was like a badass, like up into the end. She was like, I call the shots, I die on this day. So she, I could feel her like struggling inside her body. And it was like she was going, but then the breaths would keep coming, and then they would stop for a little bit, but then they would come again. And so I grabbed her hand, and I was kind of like sad, but I was also really focused at the time. So I was like kind of crying, but I was also really focused on her energy. And I could feel all the spirits around her also placing hands on her feet and everything, because they were trying to use, it felt like they were using their energy to help pull her energy out, because her physical body, like, she was a spitfire. She was fighting so hard to stay, even though her spirit was like trying to get out of there. Like, it was a, you know, like opposite ends, you know. So I held her hand, and I was like, Kathy, can you hear me? And it was like she was really focused. Like, she was like getting agitated. She was like, I want out. I want out. And I was like, Kathy, I was like, we're all here. Like, you got your cousin here, you got Brian here, you got me here. And I was like, and we're all here to wish you well. Do you see Joanne, which is Brian's mother? I was like, do you see her? Do you see your dad? I was like, and you even got a little dog too, just like, I was like, just like Dorothy, you got a little dog too. It's like Toto. And I was like, okay. I was like, I want you to use my energy. I got a lot of it, girlfriend. I was like, don't worry about pulling too much. You pull as much as you need from me right now. And I was like, and you pull. And I said, you pull yourself up out of that body. I was like, you get out right now. And then she took a weird breath. There was one more weird breath, and then that was it. And then she was gone. And it was like, when their spirit is gone, and it was like a warmth that kind of went through, like their mosquito, their body, it doesn't even look like them anymore. Like, when somebody passes and their spirit is gone, like, it, I swear their bodies don't look like them anymore. Like, I looked at her and I was like, that's not Kathy. Like, I don't know who that old lady is, but that's not her. And it's so weird. Like, when your spirit isn't in your body, like, your body doesn't look like you anymore. It's just like this shell of somebody who kind of looked like you. Which is what I've come to see, like, all the people I've had pass away. And so, yeah, and then after that, there was a light, like looking out the hospital, her hospital door. It looked like all the hospital stuff wasn't there anymore, and it was just bright white light, and I could see her high kicking and dancing, and she was talking about her big boobs. She's like, because she had a mastectomy at some point, and so she was like, girl, I got my big boobs back. And she was high kicking, and she was like singing, and I was like crying and laughing at the same time. And Brian's like, what do you see now? And I was like, Kathy's singing in the halls. And he went, well, and we looked at the clock, 8:01 p.m. is when she passed. It was an 8 o'clock show. So, um, yeah. Marie was talking New Age Lunatic. Exactly. I don't want to have to learn all that I have again and again. I want to learn the stuff I need that I didn't. Claire 5 said, having viewed many dead people, I agree. Yeah, it's like, you know, like when my aunt had passed away and looking at my aunt's body, it was somebody who kind of resembled my aunt, but it's like, that's not my aunt. New Age Lunatic said, she sounds like the most amazing person. Oh, she was. Like, yeah, oh, who was it? She rubbed elbows. Like, there's pictures of her with Gregory Peck. Like, she was really like the who's who. She sang on Broadway for a number of years. She sang as, she was Cinderella, she was Snow White, she was Sleeping Beauty. Yeah, she was like, you know, a somebody. But then she was plagued by cancer. She'd have cancer on and off, so that kind of like hindered her career. Like a complete force to herself. Yes. And she ended up becoming a professor over at a community college in Texas, where she taught theater and singing. And like, yeah, she always sang. She never cared what people thought of her. Like, we'd be out when she'd be visiting from Texas, and we went to Old Town Mex, which is like a really good restaurant in Old Town San Diego. And they have the mariachis that come around, and the mariachis would come, and she would stand up, and she's like, oh, da, da, da. She would just start singing in Spanish, and she would sing out loud, and she'd lay on the mariachis, and she was like, you know, and she just like didn't care. Like, music was in her soul, had to sing. She didn't care who was listening. Claire 5, there was one exception, my brother, who was still handsome. He looked like he was merely sleeping. Oh, that's sweet. Yeah, I don't know. Trying to think. Yeah, I guess for most of the people, except for like maybe our cat Presley looked like he was sleeping. You know, it kind of broke my heart when he passed. Like, that was, I think it was more traumatic, gosh, having my animals pass than people, which I'm not trying to like diss people. Like, I actually, you know, my heart broke for people who passed away. But for me, it's like, animals just seem so much more innocent, that when they pass away, like, it really, really hurts. And, oh my gosh. Marie said, that is what the nurse showed me. They don't look like them after the spirit has left. There's also an energy shift in the room too. Like, there's nothing alive there. Yeah. Exactly. Tara by Pixie, walking my dogs. Oh, she's walking her dog. Speak when I get back. All right. Well, no worries. You go walk the doggy. Doggy gotta use the potty. So yeah, gosh, we went on some like supernatural talks today. Let's see, and then let's see what. Oh, I was wondering. I was like, my phone's probably gonna go in low battery mode here in just a second. Close this. Sorry, I'm gonna plug my phone in. Give it some juice here. There we go. There we go. New Age Lunatic said, my childhood dog passed in my arms. It was so sad. They couldn't inject the vein, so they had to inject straight to his heart. He passed with me though, and I'm grateful for that. Yeah, for Presley, they said it was a 3 shots, but they only gave him 1, which was the muscle relaxer, and that was really all he needed to go, because the vet said to us that the reason he was holding on was for us, because we were so sad that our cat was like trying to stay, to console us. Like, he was fighting to stay. But and as much as I was like, Presley, like, please just get better and don't go. Like, I don't want you to go. Like, you know, I was like, I was a mess. I was really a mess, like big ugly cries mess. And then after the muscle relaxer, and both Brian and I were like, it's okay, buddy. Like, if you gotta go, like, we're gonna be okay, buddy. And he left. And we still miss Presley, but we know he's still here because we can hear him in here. And I'm pretty sure there's a part of Presley in Loki, like really sure. Marie said, I feel that we do a soul bond with our pets that we don't with people, which is why we feel this way. Yeah, I would have to agree with that a lot. Whew. Okay. Well, let's see. Let's do maybe one more story, and then I'll maybe do a spread with you guys. New Age Lunatic said, my rabbit passed away a year ago. This has been the first summer without, and the amount of times I've heard his water bottle outside in the garden this spring. Yeah, like I hear Presley, like you can hear the floor creaking where somebody is walking, like the footsteps of a cat, like you can hear him. But since Loki has been here, I haven't felt Presley here. I haven't seen his spirit. I haven't heard him walking around. Wally hasn't seen him. And both Brian and I, although Loki is his own person or his own panther, and Loki's actually, where is Loki? He's probably asleep in the room. We put a like a little bed out there, and he likes the room next door or next to me. Although he's his own weird, quirky personality, Presley's in there. Like from the way he walks into a room, the way he's so loud and talkative like Presley, the way he bonks like Presley. He loves fish flakes like Presley. Like he loves all of just Presley's favorite toys. Like we know Presley's in there, and so it's so weird that we see him in that cat, not fully, but you can tell that he's partly in there, and we don't hear him in the house anymore. So it's kind of interesting. New Age Lunatic, we've been on for 2 hours. Oh my god. Claire 5 said, are you gifted with prophecy? I'm not sure. I mean, I've had times where I like just had a feeling like when I know when people are gonna pass, and it always happens. I mean, like I like can't know lotto numbers or something like that and win the lottery, but or like, you know, when I get warnings, I guess for my own well-being, like, hey, let's not kick the bucket today. Let's do this instead. So I don't know. So I guess sometimes when it's really important, I would know, I guess, but not always. Like big awful events, like let's say like 9/11, like when the Twin Towers fell, like I didn't know anything about that, like but I'll know like other stuff like in, you know, closer to me, you know. So I don't know. So I wouldn't say that I could be like a prophet or anything like that. Like I can't tell you like, oh, this is gonna happen in your life, because I also think that we have free will. So like for me, if I absolutely wanted to ignore my intuition all the times that I got warnings of like, hey, this is dangerous, don't do this, if I ignored those things, I would absolutely be dead right now, like you know. But I choose to follow my gut intuition, so I'm making choices. That's my free will to make those choices. So I think that sometimes we could see a future sometimes, but we decide if that's actually going to be our future or if we would like to change that future. So I do believe there are people that can, you know, because there are so many futures to be seen. But I also believe that we as human beings can make choices to change those futures. I also believe in something like, and it's just my own personal belief about like contracts when you come into a body, that like between this age and this age, I could exit this world, you know, like between the ages, and it could be probably pretty big, like between the ages of like 30 and 50, you know, I could exit this world in the following ways, you know. And then when it comes up to those like crossroads, I say a soul ready to depart because this is within your window of you could go, then maybe my soul is like, you know, maybe I don't want to depart right now. But sometimes I think when it comes to like the very end, maybe like when of your contract, and this is just like all hypothetical, I know none of this for sure, because you know none of us know this for sure, is like maybe that's when like like out of the blue, like you get hit by a bus, because it's like, okay, it was like absolutely your time, like you can't be any more outside this area. So I don't know, that's just all like my hypothetical stuff. Marie said, I'm iffy on the free will thing. I think it gets us into trouble, more trouble than we should. Yeah, and maybe we're supposed to get into some of that trouble. Because I think, okay, again, this is my own personal belief. I'm not saying you guys believe this or that you should believe this. This is just me. Let's say that, I don't know, what's a hypothetical future for me? Okay, so let's say younger me. I'm supposed to have an occupation at some point where I'm working with kids. Means I could be a teacher, I could be a counselor, I could be a coach, I could be a whole bunch of things. I think that how I go about getting to that point in my life is up to me. But that point in my life is going to happen. And it could be that I wind up as a coach. It could be that I wind up as a high school teacher. It could be that I wind up as a babysitter, just having like a bazillion children of my own, and you know, I'm around kids. So like, to me, it's like varied. Like, you, like, something within this realm is going to happen. But like, it could look a little bit different depending on like what you want to do with it. Like, if my goal is like, you are going to work with kids someday, but that may look differently depending on the path that I choose and how I choose to get there. It may be a winding path. It may be you'll work with kids in the next 2 years. It could be you're going to work with kids in the next 10 years because you took a really crazy path to get there. But I think how we wind up at certain places, like certain places in our lives, like things are going to happen, but there's some variant in those things that happen, and like how we get there is kind of up to us. I don't know, I'm just that's just kind of like my own thing. If we didn't get into some shit, we wouldn't learn from it. Exactly. Marie says, I think it's more tower moments that teach us than just free will. That too. And you know, I don't think that there's simple answers for any of this. I think that it is so complex and so complicated that it's hard to just say things are just like this, this, and this. Like, I think there's so much variance and variables, and I think it's looking at a really complicated Ferrari engine. There's so much going on. Like, I couldn't just say this is the thing that makes the car go. Like, it's not just the gas pedal. There is so much going on inside of a car that I don't know. I am not the car god. I don't know. So I think, like, as a metaphor, like, I think that's kind of like how it is for us. Like, it isn't just go. It's just there's so much going on. There's so much like soul contracts, spirit guides, dodging stuff, intuition, plus you got all these other people in your life that are like kind of swaying your decision making, people coming in, changing your course. Like, it's way intense, I guess, when you think about it. Okay, well, because we've been on so long, and I don't want to keep you guys from your whole Saturday. Ooh, ooh, oh my God, yeah, 2 hours. And I thank you guys, those people that have been staying on. Like, oh my gosh, there's like 7 of you in here. I'm going to take all your Saturday. I'm going to do today's spread from this book, which is 365 Tarot Spreads by Sasha Graham, one of my fave books. I do have other spread books, but this is just one of my faves for, like, you know, doing a spread for the day. I'll do a spread, and this will be like for all of us, but, you know, if messages are for me, then cool. If they're kind of, you know, you vibe with them too, oh, that's cool too, with the spread. But this will be like a reading for all of us. So this is our reading. And then I want to take you guys to see the card that I'm trading on. and then I will bid you a good day, because I want you guys to have a lovely rest of your Saturday. Originally, you shouldn't have told her that. Now she wants to go. Yes. Okay. Let's go for today. Today is not September. Today is August 11th. Yes, today is August 11th. I know what day it is. Noisha in the text said she's got a peace out too. Okay, yeah, so yeah, we'll quickly do this. This will be for everybody. I'll take you guys out. We'll take a look at the car and then we'll peace out there. And then you guys have a good rest of your Saturday. And New Age Lunatic, I thank you so much. I know that you have shiz to do. And the fact that you stay on like with me, like, thank you so much. Okay, August 11th, the imprisonment spread. Oh, great. Imprisonment. That sounds awesome. Okay. During Alcatraz's 29 years of operation, no prisoner successfully escaped. Shut down due to the high price of operation, it now serves as a tourist site and inspiration for pop culture films, TV shows, and literature. That is to be debated. Some people said there were people that escaped from Alcatraz. And then we have the Eight of Swords card. A fortification like Alcatraz looms on the cliffs behind the bound figure in the Eight of Swords. It appears to fade into the background, symbolic of the past disappearing and the figure's ability to break free. Her floating nature represents the supernatural quality of this card. Oh, we've been all supernatural today. Interior walls and shackles can be destroyed with a single thought. On this day at 10:40 a.m. on this day in 1934, the first prisoners were taken to Alcatraz Island Penitentiary. Designed to hold prisoners who caused problems at other penitentiaries, this infamous jail became home to America's most notorious bank robbers and murderers. Are you held captive by something? Prison bars are not the only facility to hold people in. Destructive ideas, social expectations, limiting beliefs, and even other people can hold someone captive. This spread looks at what holds a person captive so they are empowered to break free of the ties that bind. And so it says, cast your cards like the window bars in a dank prison cell begging to be broken. Okay, so the order looks something like this. And you guys can see. Marie says, I gotta get that book. Okay, card number 1. So if you have your cards, you guys can do this too. So I've got my cards here. I have the Antique Anatomy and Ephemera edition, which I just got. Card number 1, what holds me captive? Card number 2, what drains my happiness? And you guys can go back and rewatch this. Card number 3, what do I wish I didn't know? Card number 4, how am I my own worst enemy? Girl. Card number 5, what do I fear most? Card number 6, what is worse than death? Taxes. Card number 7, how do I make my escape? Card number 8, what lesson do I bring with me? And card number 9, what lies on the outside? Okay, this is a good one. So, ladies and gentlemen over there, if you have your cards, let's do this together. Okay, I got my cards. Pretty backings, by the way. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna do a little shuffle. And I'm going to pull card number 1, what holds me captive. So I'm just going to do my little spread. Songs that get stuck in your head, yes. Holds me captive. It's card number 1. What drains my happiness? What do I wish I didn't know? How am I my own worst enemy? Wink. What do I fear most? Number 6, what is worse than death? Number 7, how do I make my escape? Number 8, what lesson do I bring with me? And number 9, what lies on the outside? Okay, let's take a look. So it's probably just mostly a reading for me, but you know, if you guys got your cards, then you, by all means, go back. Or if you have this book, then you want to be on page 231. That's August 11th today. Okay, card number 1. What holds me captive? Didn't Tarot by Pixie say she would call me the High Priestess? Sometimes I guess what holds me captive is, I guess a lot of things that I know. You know, because I am so into the esoteric, and I am so, you know, into woo. I am like in such another dimension sometimes that I think that sometimes my brain being on the other side so much that I forget about being here in physical form. And to me, sometimes I feel trapped in my own body, where like it's like, why I can't, like you guys were saying earlier, like you didn't want to reincarnate. Like I just want to be like over there, and I just want to like know all this, and like I just want to like, why is life so hard? And so I feel like, because I know just in my heart certain things to be true, that sometimes I feel like my own body is like a prison or life. um, God, that sounded really pessimistic. Okay, number 2. What drains my happiness? When I don't have balance in my life. And by the way, there is writing in Latin on here. And I did the translations in Latin yesterday, and I think it was something like a man makes his own destiny or something like that. Bewitching Leviosa said I pulled the Page of Pentacles for card 1. Ooh, interesting. Some manifestation or something along those lines, or whatever you got for that. So yeah, I think I'm unhappy when things are out of whack in my life. Like truly, like if Brian and I are like having some issues, or like me and my job are having issues, like or like home life, or some, like me and a friend are having issues, like if anything is out of whack, like that's probably the cause of most of my unhappiness. Okay, number 3. What do I wish I didn't know? Let's see. The Magician. What's with the major arcanas, people? Okay. Because I know that I can create my own reality. And when certain things happen, I like to say, like, why is the universe doing this to me, when I know for sure that sometimes I can get myself out of certain situations. It's just hard, and sometimes I don't want to do that hard work. And so sometimes it's like, I wish I didn't know that I could do that I could get myself out of situations. Deep down I know. It's just like, I just wish that like sometimes, poof, just magically it wouldn't certain things just wouldn't happen, or certain things could just be this way. Like, why do they gotta be this way? And it's because I create my own reality. Well, okay. Number 4, how am I my own worst enemy? The 3 of Blades. Because I want to do so much at once, and I get so fixated on everything that I do being perfect, that I think I drive myself insane. And I think that's how I'm my own worst enemy, because everything in my life, it's like, I gotta make sure it's perfect. I gotta make sure it looks perfect. I want to do this, and I want to do this, and I'm like all over the place. I want to do so many things, and I want them all to be good, and and then I nitpick myself to death. So, yeah. So I think that's how I'm my own worst enemy. What do I fear most? I don't know. Should I share this with you guys? Number 5 is the 3 of Cups, the elixirs. Interesting. So what I fear most is that that I won't be able to eventually like do all the things that I want to do. You know, that sometimes I fear that I'm not this magician, even though I know that I am. I always have this like, but what if, like, what if I can't like do this? What if it falls through? What if I can't make, you know, this happen? And so, interesante, muy interesante. Okay, number 6. What is worse than death? I fear the 10 of Swords. Totally true. Oh my gosh. Okay. What is worse than death? Taxes, traffic in LA, a lot of mosquito bites. Okay, let's see. The 9 of Coins. Well, that's an interesting one, folks. No chocolate. For sure, no chocolate. That is worse than death. Right away, what came to my mind with the 9 of Cups is, what's worse than death? More money, more problems. That sometimes, like, when you're a big public figure, or you know, if you had tons of cash, because sometimes I think that if I just had a bunch of money, like how many people I could help, and like all the things that I could do, like money would just like fix a lot of things. And this is like saying like, girlfriend, more money, more problems. Like, you think you have problems now. Imagine if you made tons of cash. Like, how would that change the people around you? Like, how would that change your situation, your friendships? It's not like all you think it's gonna be. Like, that could be worse than death. Like, my whole life would change, basically. This has had a running theme throughout it. Yes. Very interesting. More money, more problems. Now I'm hearing like Biggie. Biggie Smalls. Okay. How do I make my escape? How do I make my escape? 2 of elixirs. 2 of cups. Okay, so I need to have a better relationship with my life, with the things that go on in my life, with the things that I know to be true. I just need to know that I have control of my life, and to just have a better relationship with it, so that I can own up to things that happen that I do myself, instead of like blaming the universe or blaming whatever. Yeah, I just need to have a better relationship, and that's how I can make my escape. Bewitching said, what is worse than for me is 7 of Wands. I'm using the everyday witch, and the imagery is exactly what I hate, feeling cornered by a bunch of people. I'm on you with that. Like, I'm with you on that one. I hate being cornered. Like, the worst thing in the world is when I feel trapped. I don't like feeling cornered, or like I don't have a way out, which is why I was talking to Dr. Wang, and she said, now I know why like you want to get out of teaching. She goes, you feel trapped. She's all, and I think that you are so free and open that you don't like people telling you what to do. And I was like, exactly. I don't. I said, and my classroom is in a freaking dungeon. It's underground, without windows, without sunlight. I'm in the cold, dark classroom. Charlie's back. Hey. So I'm like in this cold, dark classroom. I feel trapped. I feel like you need to, and I don't always agree with like all the curriculum stuff, and I hate lying to people. I feel like I'm lying when I'm not like 100% in on something, yet I have to teach them this because this person thinks that it'll look good on what we teach in California schools. Like, I hate being disingenuous. I hate feeling cornered. I don't like being like, But, you know, I have the, if I wanted to leave the school right now, I could. If I wanted to go get some minimum wage job, like right now, like I could if I wanted to. Do I think that's the smartest plan right now? No, which is why I feel trapped. Uh, but I need to have that relationship with myself where I know that I could absolutely like get out of things, like, but I need to own up to some stuff. Okay. Number 8. What lesson do I bring with me? Okay, so I've made my escape. What lesson am I bringing with me as I escape Alcatraz of my mind? Okay. Hey, if you have to lie, it's not a job for you because you understand karma. Yeah. Okay. I'm taking judgment with me. So for me, it's like this guy's like busting out of his casket like, Pya! I am awake. I am most woke. I am woke AF. So yeah, I'm getting that if I take more accountability with the things that go on in my life and what I know to be true, and I make more of a relationship with that I take with me to be much more woke, which is pretty freaking awesome. I escape with the 3 of Pence and bring the 4 of Wands with me. Nice. 4 of Wands. I like it. I like it. I like it. Okay. Last one. What lies on the outside? Let's see. What lies on the outside? The 1 of Rods. What lies on the outside is my passions and everything that I am working towards right now, this instant. That's a nice message. I like it. All right. And you guys have been pulling some pretty interesting cards as well. Okay, well, let me put these away. And like I said, we've been on for a longy time. So Bewitching said, what lies outside for me is the Three of Cups. Nice. I love it too. So that's a nice ending. Can I see that again? Oh, the spread is the imprisonment spread. Ooh. So if you do a little bit of a rewind, you can hear what all the questions were. And it comes from 365 Tarot Spreads by Sasha Graham. Okay, so before I peace out, we'll go outside. We'll take a look-ski at what I've been practicing on, and we'll practice on more this weekend for the vehicle where I'm learning my stick shift again. And then I'll bid you all adieu. Also, should I message you on Instagram regarding the message on my Spirit app? Sure. I don't mind talking through Instagram. That's fun there. Damn, I need that book. If you rewind about 20 minutes from the end, you can write down the spread. Oh, there you go. Okay, so we're going outside. We're just going to take a look-ski at the car. And then I will bid you all a good day because this is probably the longest live chat we've ever had. So let me turn this around so you're not looking at my crazy mug. Oh, by the way, the car's out there. It's parked out front. Okay. Once you get it down pat, pull beside young guys and do a burnout. Oh, I gotta start saving up money for tires. Oh my gosh. Let's see. Loki, are you in here? No? Where's the Lokester? Oh, he's probably in his cubes. Oh, nope, there he is. Hey, Lokester. Oh. You want to say hi real quick before I go outside? Loki? Hmm? Oh, are you Sweepy? Are you a melted panther? Yeah, life's rough. Okay, to the outdoors we go. And actually, let me grab my sunglasses. Okay, now we go outside. And grab my shoesies. And that would be the sound of my tummy growling because I'm gonna eat lunch right after I get off here. Okay, whew. It is hot and bright out here. Okay, this is the vehicle that I am practicing on to relearn. Hey, Butch. Yeah, relearning how to drive stick. So I'm gonna practice on this vehicle this week. Okay. Okay. So let me get into some shade and I bid you all adieu. All right, sorry guys, my phone, as soon as I went outside, it got too hot. So the phone had to turn off because it said the temperature was too hot. So anyway, thank you guys for coming and for staying, and I will bid you guys a wonderful Saturday. Yeah, thank you for everybody who stayed around, and I have to go back to school on Tuesday. So peace, love, and chicken grease. Peace out, everyone. Have a wonderful Saturday. Bye.